we're gonna be watching today, exposing the flaw in our phone system. You guys saw the title, so we're gonna be watching another I'm sure it's gonna be a great video by veritasium, exposing the flaw in our phone system. I saw one of their videos before about the planes, what we don't know, what we get wrong about planes, something about that. It was really good, dude. And yeah, let's watch this.
This is Linus from Linus Tech Tips, and we
I have
the phone network in order to spy on him.
That's pretty messed up, Derek. I slept easier not knowing that.
We intercepted.
I have seen this guy, this YouTuber videos before. This phone YouTuber. I'm not a big fan or anything. I don't watch him regularly or anything, but I know him, like he's like tech guy, you know, kind of.
This is Linus from Linus Tech Tips.
Yeah, Linus.
And we hacked the phone network in order to spy on him.
That's pretty messed up, Derek. I slept easier not knowing that.
We intercepted his phone calls and stole his two-factor passcodes.
Wow.
Is that your number, Linus?
Yeah, but I didn't get, mine didn't even ring.
We didn't touch his phone. We didn't send him an email or a text.
Damn.
Nothing. We did it all remotely. And the worst part is, it could happen
to you. Yeah.
I'm really surprised that, no offense, but like you guys did it. Well, you're not a career criminal, hacker, mastermind.
Yeah, that's true.
Necessarily.
Indeed.
But here it is, a normal looking and feeling device with no, obvious problem with it. And you just receive my call instead of me receiving it. Just what, like on command? It's an app on your computer or what? I don't even know.
But before we explain how
Damn,
we did
what is
all
this?
that,
How? Apple, Steve Jobs.
The first startup that Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak made wasn't Apple. No, they were tackling a different problem, one where their product was actually illegal. So back in the 1970s, long-distance phone calls were really expensive. Adjusted for inflation,
Yeah, that's true,
a call
that's true.
from New York to London could run you $25 a minute.
Yeah, they were
So
pretty
these
expensive.
two entrepreneurs created a little blue box. And what it did was it hacked the telephone network. They could trick the telephone company into connecting the calls for free. amongst other
Oh.
things.
We were young, and what we learned was that we could build something ourselves that could control billions of dollars worth of infrastructure in the world. I don't think there would have ever been an Apple computer had there not been blue boxing.
Woz said you called the Pope.
Yeah, we did call the Pope. Woz pretended to be Henry Kissinger. And we got the number of the Vatican and we called the Pope. And they started waking people up in the hierarchy, I don't know, cardinals and this and that. And they actually sent someone to wake up the Pope.
Damn.
When finally we just burst out laughing and they realized that we weren't Henry Kissinger.
Whoa.
How were they able to do all of this with one electronic box made from Radio Shack parts?
Until the mid-1920s, most phones had no way of dialing. When your phone was on the hook, about 48 volts was connected from the exchange to your phone. Then when you lifted the receiver, an internal circuit connected the speaker and microphone, drawing power, and that caused the voltage to drop to around 10 volts. And at the telephone exchange, this drop turned on a light bulb, alerting the operator, who would then pick up and ask who you're calling.
Boston.
Sir, get me the Bluebird Diner.
And after consulting a directory, they would connect a wire between your line and your friends. Manually
Damn, that's crazy. Like they had to do manually, and they had to ask them, okay, who you're talking to, who you want me to connect to, who you want to talk to right now. That's
connecting calls.
That's kinda crazy.
Was labor
And where we at right now,
Operators had to handle hundreds of connections per hour.
Wow.
In 1910, one pundit said, "Soon the telephone system will need to employ every working-age woman in the country as an operator." By 1950, there were more than 1 million of them in the US alone.
They just wanted women, huh?
To reduce costs, companies sought to automate the call connection process. And one solution was the rotary dial telephone. To use it, you place your finger in a number hole, rotate it to the end, and the dial rotates back. And on the inside, a metal disc with ridges turns. Each ridge pushes two metal plates into contact, completing the circuit to the exchange.
Oh.
The dial sends pulse.
I know how this phone works, but I did not know what was behind it, which was making it work, I know you just have to dial it, each number you have to go through one circle, but I don't know all the machinery, how the
to
mechanics
match
work.
each number. For the number 2, it sends 2 pulses. For the number 3, it sends 3 pulses.
Oh, okay.
This goes on
Makes
up to
sense.
10 pulses for the number 0, which is why 0 is at the far end of the dial instead of beside the 1.
Ah.
Those pulses that travel down the phone line, they determine how your line is connected, so they're known as control signals.
But as the length of the transmission line was increased, so did its capacitance and resistance, and this caused the clear input signals to become distorted, smoothing out voltage changes. So now the pulses couldn't trigger the switching at the exchange. While this wasn't a problem for local calls, it made automating long distance almost impossible.
Now, all phone lines, including long-distance ones, were built to carry sounds in the human voice and hearing range, mainly from 300 to 3,400 hertz.
Okay.
So why not use this built-in capability to carry control signals? To do this, phone companies introduced the touch-tone or push-button telephone. On a keypad, specific frequencies were assigned to the horizontal axis and the vertical axis, so that each button was uniquely identifiable by the combination of 2 tones.
Oh, that's why kind of the sound changes.
By sending control signals within the voice band, all telephone networks could receive it using their existing systems, independent of distance. But with this innovation came an opportunity for Jobs and Wozniak to exploit.
When you made a long-distance call, it was first routed to a central node. This node communicated with a remote node, and they determined if a line was free by checking whether both sides were sending a 2600 Hz tone. So Jobs and Woz exploited this. First, they would dial a toll-free 1-800 number, which would get them into a local node. And then they would send a 2600 Hz tone into the phone.
Oh.
This would trick the remote node into thinking the call had been disconnected. So the remote node would start playing the 2600 Hz tone again, but Jobs and Woz were still on the line. And when they stopped playing the tone on their side, the remote node assumed a new call was being placed. By sending a key pulse tone, followed by the desired phone number and ending with a start tone, they could connect to any long-distance number for free.
Wow.
As the home node still believed it was connected to a toll-free number.
Wow, big
The
brain.
vulnerabilities in the signaling system were obvious. To mimic the 2600 Hz tone, some people would even use a toy whistle from a Cap'n Crunch cereal box. It just happened to make that frequency. The telephone companies clearly needed to develop a new signaling protocol, and their solution was to use a separate digital line for carrying control signals. That way, no one could control the network by sending tones down the voice line, because it no longer controlled how the call was connected. This new protocol was called Signaling System Number 7, or SS7 for short, and it's still broadly in use today. But it may not be as secure as people thought.
Hello, my name is Latifa Al Maktoum.
Princess Latifa of Dubai claimed that her father, Sheikh Mohammed, the ruling emir, had held her in solitary confinement in the dark, beaten and sedated for several years. In late February 2018, her Finnish martial arts instructor Tina helped her escape.
Wow,
They
why?
fled to
What
a
happened?
yacht captained by former French intelligence officer Hervé Jalbert, and for 8 days they sailed toward India. Latifa was hopeful, but it wasn't to last. Late on the night of March 4th, a dark boat pulled up alongside. It was sent by her father. Laser sights pierced the smoke as agents boarded the yacht, abducting Latifa and taking her back to Dubai.
Oh.
But how did they find her? Well, the captain had been the victim of a coordinated SS7 attack, one aiming to pinpoint his location and, by extension, the whereabouts of the princess. And I'm going to show you how, using the exact same steps to spy on my friends. With their permission, of course.
This is Karsten Knoll and Alexandra de Oliveira. They are cybersecurity specialists who are helping me spy on Linus. We took 3 steps to spy on him. First, you have to infiltrate SS7. Second, gain trust. And third, attack. Of course, the main reason any of this is possible is step 1. When SS7 was introduced in 1980, mobile phones barely existed. They were so big that they were mainly just used as car phones. But things changed quickly, and the number of mobile phones in the world exploded.
Roaming is one of the main use cases of SS7. Say, Derek, you visit me over here. Your phone would try to connect to a network that's foreign, and that network would then have to reach out to your home network in Australia asking, is this a valid customer? Are you willing to pay for the charges that they'll incur on my network? And all of that information is exchanged over SS7.
For this to work, telcos need to communicate with each other. So the way they do that is by making sure they're part of the same club. The way they share membership to this club is by using unique addresses to identify where requests are coming from.
Okay.
SS7 is a global network, just like the internet. And like on the internet, you need some addressing scheme. So you need some way of saying this is me and this is you. And on the internet, we use IP addresses. On SS7, we use what's called global titles, GTs.
So to provide global roaming coverage, telcos typically establish agreements with 2 providers in each country they serve, one primary and one backup. Telcos generally accept messages only from global titles with which they have agreements. The whole system is designed to be a closed network with few barriers once inside. This is known as the walled garden approach. So this system seems pretty secure, and it was. When SS7 was developed in the 80s, the telecommunications landscape was dominated by a few large, reputable operators. These operators had established relationships and mutual interest in maintaining the integrity of the network. But 45 years on, the landscape has shifted dramatically. Now there are over 1,200 operators and 4,500 networks, many of which need SS7 access. From virtual network operators to mass text services sending Uber Eats notifications. There are so many more players in the garden that not all of them are trustworthy.
Oh, yeah, someone could
Those
be,
companies, some of them
scam.
Sell services on to third parties. Some of them can be
Your
bribed.
information
some of them
can be
hacked.
leaked.
So there's probably thousands of ways into SS7 at reasonable effort or cost.
How much are we talking? Like, how much would it cost to buy access to SS7?
Buying a single SS7 connection isn't that expensive. We're talking a few $1,000s per month.
The people who do sell access, I mean, why would they do it?
People sell SS7 access for one reason: money.
And thanks to global agreements between providers, accessing a trusted GT is like gaining access to all the GTs they have partnerships with. We even saw the invoice of a valuable US-based GT being
13,000 per month. I mean, if someone is trying to hack you and all that, I'm sure they have that much money, and they can leak your info, and then they can get that money from you, because you don't want your information leaked and all that, damn.
leased illegally for $13,000 a month.
Are you buying access to SS7?
I'm paying for access to SS7, yes. And,
Wow.
we do that because we do SS7 security tests. So we
Oh.
need to be in a similar position as real hackers to get near real results.
So step 1.
So this guy can hack
SS7 is complete.
any of our
On to step
system,
2,
huh?
gain trust. Hackers today can try many different things once they've scaled the wall into the garden. But you need more than just SS7 access and a phone number to attack.
Oh.
Even a trusted GT and the phone number of the target isn't enough to uniquely identify them. No, you need something from the SIM card. The real key in a mobile network is a unique 15-digit identifier which belongs exclusively to the SIM card on the phone. It's
Okay.
called an International Mobile Subscriber Identity, or IMSI for short, and it is very important.
Basically, to be able to collect the IMSI from a subscriber, we would launch some of the messages such as send routing info or send routing info for SM. These messages are normally used to collect the IMSI.
Networks have firewalls in place that will deny some requests if they look suspicious. Getting an IMSI is crucial to appear trusted. So let's move on to the critical step 3, attack.
Do you want to just like try the phone? Is there anything you can try to see if it works? Like call someone or text someone?
Sure, I'll call my wife.
She normally pick up?
Yeah, she'll probably pick up.
Hello?
Hello, Yvonne. This is the voice of your husband. I would like to talk to you about the payment.
Okay, thanks.
No, it's me. No.
Did she hang up on you?
Yeah, she did. So we've established the phone works as a completely normal phone.
Do you have any important calls coming up?
I don't know if I'd say it's important, but I'm on my way to Creator Summit tonight, and James from Hacksmith was going to call me, and we were going to kind of make some plans.
I'm getting a call right now. Are you getting a call?
No.
Hello, this is Linus.
Hey, Linus, it's James. How's it going?
Oh.
It's going really well. How are you?
Pretty good. Am I going to see you at the YouTube Summit?
Yes, I'm really looking forward to that. And man, do I hate Macs. So I feel like that's your persona, man. You can't game on a Mac. Linus, you want to talk?
I would like to talk, but I never got the call, so...
That's crazy, dude.
What number did you dial?
4473.
Is that your number, Linus?
Yeah, but I didn't get... mine didn't even ring. I heard it ring, but I heard it through my speakers on my computer, because I assume it went to your phone then.
That's right.
Or did it go to your computer?
No, yeah, it went to everything of mine.
Yeah, everything got on him.
Yeah,
his
James,
phone.
I don't know. You called Linus and it went to me. Thank you for
So like his SIM card is this guy's SIM card now. Like you can, like, you know, literally identity. You know, he just took his identity of the phone. Damn. Crazy, man.
In this weird demonstration.
There is absolutely nothing here to indicate that I was supposed to receive a call.
Yeah. And I mean, the crazy thing is that's like a regular Canadian SIM card in there. So any Canadian SIM card, in theory, could be vulnerable to such an attack where, you know, someone dials your number and it just doesn't go to you.
This is like freaking, but on a completely different level.
That's exactly it.
Now, I'm familiar already with the concept of SIM swapping, where you social engineer a way to get a SIM that is registered to someone else's account. We've actually had accounts stolen that way in the past. But in this case, my phone still works.
Hello?
Hey, so the demo we're doing is pretty trippy, hun. Basically, they had Hacksmith call me. My phone didn't ring at all. And instead, Derek from Veritasium picked up the phone call and was able to talk to him. And Hacksmith had no idea that he called me. And then...
Sorry, I'm with Cindy.
Hi, Cindy.
Oh, you're not on speaker.
Okay, that's fine. Just tell Cindy hi for me.
Okay, bye.
So how are we
She's
able
too
to
busy,
seize
man.
control of Linus's number like that?
When you put a phone number in your address book, you often don't put the country code. But then if you're in a roaming scenario, that phone number would connect to a completely different person in the country you are currently in. So it does make sense to basically overrule people's choices as to whom they're trying to dial, because they're not going to triple check each time whether their address book entries have country codes in them.
This is a powerful function. By tricking the network into thinking his phone is roaming, we can rewrite the number he is calling to a number that we control.
And so what I did at the end was when I received this message, I sent back your number that you can see here was your US-based number. So even if you were located in Australia, I was still able to forward the call to you on your US number in...
So he's like a middleman?
That's amazing. You just try a few times and then it works, right?
Yes. It's not always that simple, but this time it was quite effective.
So the most important question I have now then is, what did you need to steal from me in order to become me? Like, is this something you can social engineer out of my carrier? Is this something that I would need to accidentally leak a screenshot of my IMEI?
At the very simplest, all we would need is your phone number. That's it. You could even do something where I could act as a middleman, where I would reroute the call to me, but also simultaneously I would dial for you the real number and I would send you through to them.
and then I can sit on the line and just record that call.
Wow.
Yikes.
But this isn't the only attack. We can do a lot more with SS7.
I'm
We
sure.
can also intercept text messages as part of our suite of attacks. Similar to phone calls, we can trick the network into thinking the target is roaming, which reroutes their messages to our GT. We can then steal one-time passwords used in two-factor authentication. This type of attack works until the subscriber interacts with their phone network, at which point the phone reconnects to the correct GT.
But you need a few seconds only to hack into somebody's account, of course. You need that few second window to receive the one-time password.
So we actually set up a new Linus YouTube channel.
Okay, so theoretically, he could get this username and password via a dump because I'm a butthead and I use the same username and password across different accounts. Or he could install a keylogger on my system. He could get it that way when I'm typing it in. So then I verify my number, but of course he has my number because that's realistically not that hard to find. And theoretically, I'm supposed to get a two-factor code right now, except...
You didn't get anything.
I got it.
Yeah, he got it.
820299.
Wow.
He's in. He hacked the mainframe. Wild, hey?
Yep. We could hack your YouTube account. I'm gonna start posting science videos on Linus Tech Tips.
Oh, that's okay. I'm sure they'll get like 30 million views or whatever, so I'll be fine with it. Thanks for the AdSense.
Deal.
And you could see the code right there.
Exact. So you could see it at the bottom, 820299. So basically, once the interception is running, then I would receive any SMS sent.
Damn,
You would
this
never
is
have known that he missed
so
those messages or that they
messed
were
up.
intercepted.
Exact.
Wow. Yeah, this seems pretty serious. I mean, SMS two-factor authentication is almost the default, right?
Unfortunately, yes. It's not only the default, but in some cases it is the only available option. And sometimes that can even be for accounts that should be treated with the utmost of care, like a bank account.
There's a third method of attack that we weren't able to show Linus. Lucky for him, his network blocked the requests. On many networks, you can use the IMSI number and the switching center info we harvested in step 2 to send a command deeper into the network. By targeting the switching center where the device with the IMSI is connected, we can issue a command routinely used for legitimate purposes, such as routing and forwarding calls or providing emergency services based on the device's location. Using this request, we can track a target's location. It's not as hard as you'd think. SS7 doesn't even rely on GPS to locate someone. In fact, it was invented before GPS was even in public use.
Whoa.
One way to do this is if a target is in range of multiple cell towers, their location can be narrowed down to where the signals overlap. The more towers in range, the more precise the location. A more accurate method measures the time it takes for signals to reach a phone from 3 towers. By calculating the distance based...
So it's the main thing which is helping them, I think, is the carrier towers, you can say, even in locating the location and having to get the number of the person or person identity as they did in the video on Linus, So like the main thing which helps them is the towers, of course. They are doing with all the communication and stuff, and tower of course help them. But yeah, bro, this is really crazy. And the thing is, you can do calls, then you can do 2FA, then you can do SMS, text messages. Like you can control almost everything of that person, by just having their phone number. That's all you need, huh? Damn, that's crazy. And I'm sure this thing is used all around the world in a good way and a bad way. And I'm sure it's been used in a bad way more than in a good way. And I'm sure that like police or any kind of department like that, they do use this type of stuff to get the suspects or anyone they need in the custody or anything like that. But I'm sure and I know that many scammers and stuff, people like that do use some kind of devices like this or some kind of SS7, they do use that to take over your accounts, bank accounts, all the details, all kind of private information which shouldn't be shared with anybody else, and they take over so easily. I know it's few $1,000s to for 1 month. It was about $13,000 to get the SS7, but after you get after you pay $13,000, I'm sure if you wanna take this thing as a negative, like in a wrong way, you can make hell lot of money, man. You can make hell lot of money just by getting someone else's identity and just asking them, you want the information back, you don't want it leaked, all that, so give us some money, all that stuff like that. But damn, this is really crazy. And on top of that, you can literally track the live location of the same person. The better the signals they have on their phone, from the more towers they are coming on or their cell phone, the better you can track them. And that's crazy. And you don't even need GPS to do that. Sheesh.
Based on transmission speed, we can pinpoint an exact location on a 2D plane. But SS7 attacks don't use either of these methods. They try to be subtle. An SS7 location request simply identifies the cell tower the target is connected to. In an urban area with many towers, this can place them to within 100 meters.
You would definitely know which city block somebody is in, and if you wanted to for instance, find out whether they're at home or at work, this is a great way to do it.
Yeah, that's it's a little bit scary.
In 2016, Karsten and his team used this method to track US Congressman Ted Lieu.
The congressman has been in California, more specifically the LA area. Let's zoom in here a little bit.
So that is how we did it. We executed 3 steps. We infiltrated SS7, gained trust, and attacked. We intercepted Linus's phone calls and text messages. I'm not sure he was as excited about it as I was.
This is why we can't have nice things.
I mean, he's scared, man. He's not excited.
Up until now, this has just been a bit of fun. I've demonstrated these attacks on a friend of mine. But the threats are real, and they can have devastating consequences.
They will kill her, the captain texted shortly before Latifa was abducted. His phone was the target of an SS7 attack that involved all 3 of the steps we explored. To start, the attackers had leased multiple GTs in different countries. Then, the following all happened in a 5-minute window. First, they sent at least 7 separate requests aiming to get the captain's IMSI from his US-based operator. When that didn't seem to work, they followed up with at least 4 location requests. So, did it work?
It did.
All of these requests were blocked by firewalls. That's why we have all the details. But there was a 6th GT we haven't shown. This one nearby in the US. We have no information about the requests on this GT because they likely weren't stopped.
We spoke with Crofton Black, the investigative journalist who revealed the SS7 exploits in this story, and this is what he told us. It's a brilliant example of SS7 involvement because it illustrates a classic, sophisticated pattern of attack. Multiple GTs in multiple countries. It's a textbook example of telco penetration risks. Though because the Emiratis were also using other software like Pegasus and other hardware like spotter planes, we can't say that any single one of these was the thing that led to her being found. But the evidence is damning. And SS7 is used pretty widely.
Criminals have used SS7 to intercept SMS 2-factor authentication codes and empty millions of dollars from bank accounts.
Yep,
For
I'm
some,
sure.
SS7 is just the first step. The NSO Group, a notorious Israeli cyber surveillance firm, acquired an SS7 tracking company in 2014. NSO is the company behind Pegasus, a spyware tool that gains complete access to targeted phones without a user clicking anything, embedding itself and erasing traces of entry. Such zero-click hacks are costly. They can cost more than $4 million per exploit. Before NSO commits resources targeting specific software or vulnerabilities on a phone, first they gather basic data, like device type and software version, to make their lives easier. And as you've seen with SS7, this isn't hard. One expert we spoke to tested a foreign network and found 20 to 30 VIPs were constantly under surveillance there, including the country's chief of cybersecurity.
Accurate data on tracking is difficult to come by, but another expert provided evidence of more than 2.5 million tracking attempts per year. though they reminded us that the people being targeted are generally those of interest to state agencies. Now, we couldn't find data on interception attempts, but luckily experts told us this is far less common.
So, millions of malicious SS7 requests are sent each year, but it used to be even worse.
To request location over SS7, you used to be able to send a command without even knowing the IMSI, and the network would just provide it to you. No
now you need
IM. The classical
IMSI,
example
right?
is the anytime interrogation request, which, as the name already suggests, is kind of a creepy command. I don't believe there's ever a legitimate purpose for one network to send this command to another network interrogating about their customers.
Karsten Knoll and fellow security researcher Tobias Engel exposed these vulnerabilities publicly in 2014.
The SS7 research that was disclosed in 2014 was a wake-up call to the industry. Most people had heard rumors that SS7 tracking and spying was possible, but they hadn't really seen hard evidence of it, and especially how easy it is. That a ragtag gang of hackers from Berlin with very amateur means can do any type of SS7 hacking that they want.
After their conference,
you don't even have to be an
expert
in it,
started
you know?
refusing these requests.
Anytime integration is the first SS7 command everyone stopped because it was abused a lot and never used constructively, but there is over 150 other messages that need to be stopped as well to make SS7 be completely secure.
So if there are so many ways to abuse SS7, why haven't we gotten rid of it? Well, because it's the backbone of 2G and 3G communications. So what if we phase out 2G and 3G? Well, that has caused problems.
Since 2018, cars in the EU are equipped with mandatory emergency call buttons that trigger in an accident. They need a SIM card to work. And to cut costs, guess what auto manufacturers are using? That's right, 2G and 3G SIM cards using SS7.
You have to have that legacy support, or when 4G connectivity drops, you have absolutely nothing left. Dude, the number of times that I'm on 3G, not insignificant. And I'm in a metropolitan area.
What's surprising, of course,
so it does
is that
help,
there hasn't been a global push yet to
not
replace
always,
SS7
but sometimes.
with one of the two newer versions of the technology, the latest of which that was introduced with 5G, seems pretty secure, but that's now a problem of first mover disadvantage. So because of the network effects, you get nothing out of adopting a technology as the first guy. You want to be the last one when everyone else is already connected and you get the full benefit from also joining the club.
So even though the 5G signaling protocol can stop the attacks completely, and many networks are using 5G technology on their networks, when routing calls between networks, SS7 is still the de facto standard.
You create a tremendous amount of inertia, to use a term that's probably more your channel than my channel, that makes moving on extremely difficult.
So unless there are some new major events that put this back on the public radar, it could be another 10, 15, maybe even 20 years until SS7 networks are finally switched off.
Damn, it's
What's
gonna
crazy
take that
is that
long,
we
huh?
exploited these vulnerabilities, and I'm just a YouTuber. I did have the help of some excellent security researchers, but I'm surprised at how easy it all is. Now imagine if I had the backing of a government. This is a real problem. So what can you do to protect yourself? On the personal side, as long as you have a SIM card, unfortunately there's not much you can do about location tracking.
Yeah,
If
you are under
possible,
the radar.
choose alternatives to SMS-based two-factor authentication, so messages can't be intercepted. Use an authenticator app or hardware tokens. And if you're worried about phone tapping, use encrypted SMS-based. Much you can protect yourself. On the personal side, as long as you have a SIM card, unfortunately there's not much you can do about location tracking. If possible, choose alternatives to SMS-based two-factor authentication, so messages can't be intercepted. Use an authenticator app or hardware tokens. And if you're worried about phone tapping, use encrypted internet-based calling services like Signal or WhatsApp.
We've been told this is mainly used on people of interest, so should it really matter to you?
SS7 is a huge privacy intrusion, and there's millions of abuse cases every single month. Whether privacy intrusion is a problem for everyone individually, of course, is almost a philosophical question, right? Somebody who grew up more in the Berlin tradition of the Chaos Computer Club, like myself, strongly believes that privacy and the ability to kind of form your own thoughts without being observed is a prerequisite for democracy, but many other people would argue nothing to hide, nothing to fear.
Overall, not gonna lie, another banger by Veritasium. Okay, amazing video, really nice video. Learned a lot, learned hell a lot about our phone system, how it all works, from where it started and where it is at right now, and how scary it can be, you know, like how easily it is to track you, how easily it is to be you, you know, that someone can be can take your identity so easily just by paying few $1,000s, and how insecure it is, you know, and how we still need the SS7 because it's helping with 2G and 3G, because sometimes we do need 2G or 3G when our signals are low, or you know, we don't have much data in our phone for that. So yeah, we still need 2G 3G when you don't have 4G or 5G, you can say. And many manufacturers are using those for their customers in the cars and stuff, as they showed us. But still, man, it's really crazy how easy, and how we shouldn't really trust SMS 2FA that much. And as the guy told us, try to use some other apps for I'm telling myself this too, because I also don't use some external apps or separate apps for security or anything like that. I just trust the SMS thing, which we shouldn't, as they showed us in the video. So make sure you guys use some kind of 2FA external apps, and for calling and stuff, try to use WhatsApp or Signal or some other apps. Overall, it really opened our eyes on like how this whole phone system has a big flaw, man. It has big problem, and how easy it is to manipulate it, you know, and how they showed us they hacked Linus so easily, like all through the internet. All they needed was phone number, the SIM number, SIM security number. You need that, but there are still companies out there who are doing you can pay money and they can help you do the scam and all that stuff like that. And I hope it gets it has gotten better than before. In past few years it has gotten better, but still there are millions of people that can get scammed every month, and I'm sure it could be any of us, you know, at any time. So yeah, stay safe out there. Yeah, great video, another great video by Veritasium, and yeah, I'm gonna see you guys in the next one.